like to share a story of the weirdest dinner plate I've ever heard of. Y'all have picky eaters? Are you a picky eater? Where along the lines you might have decided, hey, I'm not going to eat veggies. Or, hey, I don't like beans. Something like that. I can't think of too many foods that I don't like to eat. There's some that I don't prefer. Like nowadays, I don't like pickles. I used to eat pickles all the time. Pickle juice, drink it, and stuff like that. But now, if you put a pickle on my sandwich, all I can taste is vinegar, and it don't taste good anymore. It's like my taste buds have changed as the years go on. Have your taste buds changed as you've gotten older? Do you like more salt, or does it take more for you to taste it, or all these different things? And our taste buds do change. Our tastes change. And sometimes our taste can be simple. For instance, if you get addicted to food and you eat too much of it, it could cause you to gain weight and you could develop diseases because of that, right? I know that I had taken in way too much cholesterol over the years for the body to be able to sustain that. Also, the inhalation of smoke causes health problems. So to make that choice, that's another thing you have to live with, right? And these choices can lead to unhealthy. Let me share this story with you. This is out of the book of Mark, chapter 6. Okay? Now, y'all know the name Herod, right? Herod, the king that wanted to kill Jesus when he was a baby. King Herod was an evil man, and he had some boys. Now let me tell you about one of his boys. One of his boys was Herod. He got a junior, don't he? Actually, his middle name, or last name as it were, was Antipas. Oh, that's pretty. Girl, I'm going to name my third kid Antipas. Antipas, or Antipas. Say it different. So Herod Antipas was do you think that you learned anything from your daddy? I promise you, if you spent any time around your daddy, you learned some things, or maybe picked up some things from him. Because when you see your daddy, you see what God created to be his representation as far as leadership and authority on earth. So when you get to seeing your daddy, you get to thinking about your daddy's kind of beliefs and thoughts and standards, and you start to say, all right, well, I'm going to have about the same way. How many of y'all started pulling for Alabama Auburn because your mom and daddy did? A lot of these things are just handed down. The Bible even speaks about how the sins of the father become the sins of the son sometimes. You can create a family tradition that sticks. You can hand that pickiness down to your kids, right? Well, Herod's son, Herod Antipas, had John the Baptist arrested because John the Baptist was going around preaching and baptizing people for repentance. So when Herod came into power, he had John the Baptist locked up, but he kind of liked listening to John. He kind of liked his stories. He liked his family tree stories and all the stories that John had about Judaism. Herod liked that stuff. It was a whole different channel than what he had grown up on. But one night, was having a birthday party. And when a king has a birthday party, I don't know if y'all been to it. Have y'all ever been to a king's birthday party? You ever been to a king's birthday party? Let me tell you, during the king's birthday party, all right? Everybody that is distinguished, important, rich, they would come in to the king's parlor, and it would all gather around the king. And they would have people with batons that were lit on fire, and they would twirl them around, catch them and stuff. They had sword swallowers back then. They would take a sword and just swallow it, you know? Tricks. They would just light fireworks, handling snakes, doing the little snakes, doing all that. All of that. They had all the tricks, all the fanciness. They also had drinking. And they would have a little party, and everybody would get under the influence, and their true colors would come out. Kids, let me warn y'all. Let me warn y'all. Listen. We were not filmed when we were kids. We sure did not want to film ourselves when we did the stuff we did. You're going to regret it if you do. Stop filming everything. You're not going to want to see it. I promise. It's called evidence. Okay? And you're creating your own. What is wrong with y'all? Okay? When we are putting ourselves out there, there's no telling what's going to be filmed and put out there for the whole world to see. Used to be you would go to a little party and you would have a house party. And what happened at the party stayed at the party. Hey, it's not like that no more. Now, one little thing is out for the whole entire world to see and know forever. So times have changed, right? Now the possibilities for sin are far greater than what happened at Herod's birthday party. All right? So when you're getting to party and you get under the influence, let me tell you what happened. In Mark 6 was started, verse 14, it said, after they had been out preaching, the disciples had been out preaching and running demons and healing sick people. It said in verse 14, King Herod heard about this, for Jesus, his name had become well known. Some were saying John the Baptist has been raised from the dead, and that's why his miraculous powers are at work. Others said he's Elijah. So some people were saying that Jesus was John the Baptist, okay? Other people were saying he's Elijah because Elijah was taken and they believe that he's going to come back and bring with him the kingdom of God. That's what the Jewish people at Passover, they still every year are believing this, all right? Now he says here, others still said he's a prophet like one of the prophets long ago, but when Herod heard this, he said, John, the man I beheaded, has been raised from the dead? It says in verse 17, for Herod himself had given orders to have John arrested, and he had him bound and put in prison, and he did this because of Herodias, his brother Philip's wife, whom he had married. Hold up. Wait a minute. You telling me the king had a brother named Philip? That's weird enough. I mean, you go to the gas station with Philip, who's pumping? Philip. Anyway, he had a thing for his wife. He took his wife, her name was Herodias, and he was like, hey girl, your name is kind of like mine. You should hook up. And they did. The whole time, John the Baptist was telling Herod Antipas stories and stuff. John the Baptist was telling Herod, you shouldn't be with your brother's wife. And in Scripture, this is wrong. This is wrong. You shouldn't have this done. He said in verse 18, John had been saying to Herod, it's not lawful for you to have your brother's wife. So Herodias, she nursed a grudge against him. So I want you to understand what's happening here. You got somebody that is in power, in position of power, and they have decided to sin. Okay? Now, this person is acting just like his daddy, right? If he wanted to change his family's trajectory, he would have to make some decisions different than what his daddy made. So far, his daddy tried to kill Jesus. This man don't know Jesus yet, but he's heard of John the Baptist. He's got him locked up. He did see his wife's, or his brother's wife, and wanted her, and so he liked her. And John the Baptist, like, you shouldn't be hooking up with your brother's wife because that ain't good stuff, is it? It's going to cause problems. But Herodias was like, you're telling the king to leave me alone. All right. Now, I got beef with you. What do y'all call it nowadays? Do y'all call it beef? When y'all are mad at somebody? What do y'all call it nowadays? Squabble? I got squabble? Something like that? I figure it's something like that, though, right? What did y'all used to call it? You got beef with somebody? You're holding a grudge against somebody? And what that is called is unforgiveness, right? When you hold a grudge against somebody, it's because you feel like somebody has wronged you, and so you're decided to hold a guilty verdict against them for probably the rest of your life, right? That's what a grudge is. So this lady had a grudge against John the Baptist because he gave some scriptural advice that he shouldn't be partaking in a certain sin. Okay. So she had a grudge, and she wanted to kill him, but she wasn't able to because Herod feared John and protected him, knowing him to be a righteous and holy man. So when Herod heard John, who was greatly puzzled, and he liked to listen to it. So in verse 21, it says, finally the opportune time came on his birthday. Herod gave a banquet for his military commanders and the leading men of Galilee. When the daughter of Herodias came in and danced, she pleased Herod and his dinner guests. All right, now this is a lady that you had an eye for. You was like, oh, what's up, girl? What's up, girl? Now you having a birthday party, and her daughter comes in, and she's dancing. Oh, now. So this guy was like, I like your mama, and I like this dance that you're doing too. He was moved by this dance that this young guy was doing, that he got popping off at the mouth, dealing with pride and a whole array of sin that creep up due to peer pressure. When you are in a situation where a lot of people are around, you wind up saying things that you shouldn't say. You probably wind up making proclamations or claims that are false. But because you said it, now you got to do it, right? I know what I'm talking about. There's a lot of kids nowadays that are killing themselves because people won't think that they will. People don't believe it. They're trying to prove themselves by killing themselves. This has started about 8,000 years ago when Eve turned to Adam and said, hey, let's eat this fruit. And it's been happening ever since. We think we know better. And we make a decision that goes from generation to generation to generation, right? family was not a church group when we grew up. We had to decide that we wanted to go to church. And as children, go to church, you know. And as grown-ups, we had to make that decision, just like each and every one of you did. You're at church tonight. You've made a decision to hopefully, you know, worship your God and maybe get closer to Him, or at least fellowship with other believers. And it's where can you be that's better, that's going to be more rewarding to your eternity, you know, than a local church? And so we get these things and we understand them, but yet at the same time, we still got this past, don't we? We still got this culture, this habit, this tradition, the way things have been for years and years and years. Y'all, it's up to us to change that stuff, right? The king said to the girl, "Ask me anything you want and I'll give it to you. You did such a fine dance. Anything you want, I'll give it to you." Said, "Up to half of my kingdom." He wasn't even going to give up his power. So she went, she asked her mama, she said, "What should I ask for?" Mama said, "The head of John the Baptist. That's what I want." The time came for her to hatch her evil plan. She wanted the head of John the Baptist. So her daughter ran up to Herod the king, and she was like, "I know what I want. I know what I want. I want you to give me right now the head of John the Baptist on a platter." You're talking about a picky eater. Your life, this, I want you to understand, who most people believe was a teenage girl, all right? This girl grew up hearing nothing but John the Baptist hate. You understand? Hearing nothing but this evil grudge, this passion that this mother had against God. She's the one that wanted it on a plate. Mama just wanted the head. This was a spoiled, entitled brat. It's just what it was. Used to getting her way by doing her thing. The world has not changed. The people in leadership have these same kind of parties. Right, P. Diddy? Or whoever. And sin is following people through their family. Generations are just being exactly like the other generation. Until somebody says, we're going to make a change, there will never be a change, right? It's up to us to make those changes. It said that the king was greatly distressed because, you know, of his oaths. And he didn't want to refuse it. He had said that he would do a thing, so now he's got to do the thing. Y'all be careful. We used to call that your mouse writing checks that your body can't cash. You know, you're running your mouth, and now you have to do the thing. It's like Name That Tune. Y'all ever watch that? I'm trying to PG right here. Name That Tune. It's like go up and they're like, "Oh, I can name that tune in one note." No, you can't. You just lie. You think you can, but you can't. And then Randy Jackson's like, "All right, dog, you ready? Here we go, dog." And they're like, "Let's give them something to talk about" by Bonnie Raitt. Nope, that ain't it. You done got to be thinking y'all on that, right? You know all the songs. Anyway, what? What are you talking about? He didn't want to refuse her. Alex, so he immediately sent an executioner with orders to bring John's head. So the man went and cut John's head off in prison and brought back his head on a platter. He presented it to the girl, and she gave it to her mother. This is a weird dinner party, y'all. It said, on hearing of this, John's disciples came to his body and laid it in the tomb. I want you to know something. Herod wanted to kill Jesus, who had felt the presence of John the Baptist when he was still in his mama's tummy. And John the Baptist grew up and was preaching to Herod's son, and because of the way that Herod was, and Herod's son being the same way, he got his head chopped off because of his belief in his cousin who he met when he was still in his mama's belly. I said that to say this. As you may be, as set in your ways as you are, God has a particular way that will bring you joy and satisfaction and will not harm others for generations. We are the standard bearers for this generation and the next. We have to make sure that we tell children stuff like, hey kids, quit filming everything. All right? Because it's creating evidence. And you're going to regret it. You're going to have regrets. And hey, I wish people would have told me more when I was younger about the things that you should be warned about, you know? You should. Oh, you should not be drinking Mountain Dew all the time. It's not water, okay? You should not eat that much sugar. It is going to cause diabetes. It's going to hurt you. It's going to make you fall off one day. All right? Stop doing it. Stop it. But trick or treat. Stop it. Just stop it. And when you get all stressed out, what's it called? Losing your temper? That's causing your blood pressure to go up. And you're going to develop a clot because you're eating all them chicken nuggets, and the clot's going to get in there, and then you're going to get mad, and then you're going to move that clot around, and you're going to have a stroke or a heart attack. That's what happens. We should be more picky about what we eat. We should be more picky about what we do. Because I promise you this. God didn't put all that junk food in the garden. It was perfect. It was all healthy. And it was without consequence. We will be able to have that diet once again one day. But in the meantime, we're going to be on the struggle bus with the bad diet and the picky eating and the bad decisions. That's us, right? Don't be like Herod. Don't be like Herod's girlfriend, or don't be like Daddy, or none of that bunch. Matter of fact, don't even speak. Herod's an ugly guy, and he's dead. So there. And according to what he did, he's probably in hell. So I'm going to close with this. Don't go to hell. Thank you. Ellie, be picky.